connectors used for making irreversible crimp connections on bare grounding conductors are called split bolt connectors. These copper split bolt connectors are used to join multiple grounding conductors, such as 4 equipment grounding conductors, within an electrical box. You can find split bolt connectors at electrical supply stores, home improvement stores, and online retailers. To crimp these connectors properly, you will need the following materials: a split bolt connector of the appropriate size for your conductors and a crimping tool also size for the split bolts you are using. Here are the steps to crimp a split bolt connector. Firstly, strip the conductors. Remove about 1 inch of insulation from the ends of each grounding conductor using wire strippers. Secondly, insert the conductors. Place the stripped ends of the grounding conductors into the split bolt. Make sure the wires are aligned parallel to each other. Thirdly, crimp the connector. Use a crimping tool designed for the appropriate size of split bolt. Position the tool over the middle of the bolt and squeeze the handles firmly until the copper tab is crimped down onto the conductors. Lastly, twist the conductors. This step is optional. Once the connector is crimped, you can twist the grounding conductors together to provide additional strength. This step is not always necessary, but it is recommended for larger gauge conductors or in damp environments. There are various types of crimping tools available. A ratchet crimping tool provides the most consistent crimp with minimal effort. A manual crimping tool requires more manual force, but it can be used for smaller gauge conductors. A hydraulic crimping tool is used for very large gauge conductors or connections that require high holding strength. Always remember that split bolt connectors are designed for permanent connections, and once crimped, they should not be removed or reused. Choosing the correct split bolt connector size is important for a secure and reliable connection. Refer to the manufacturer's specifications or an electrical supply professional for guidance on selecting the appropriate size for the gauge and number of grounding conductors you are connecting. When stripping the insulation from the grounding conductors, be careful not to nick or damage the underlying wire. Nicks can weaken the conductor and lead to future failures. Use wire strippers that are properly sized for the gauge of the wire to ensure a clean and undamaged strip. Ensure that the grounding conductors are clean and free of any corrosion or oxidation before inserting them into the split bolt connector. Use a wire brush or emery cloth to clean the conductors if necessary. A clean surface will improve the conductivity and reliability of the connection. When inserting the conductors into the split bolt connector, make sure they are fully seated and making good contact with each other and the connector body. Overlapping or poorly aligned conductors can reduce the effectiveness of the connection. When using a crimping tool, ensure that it is properly aligned and positioned over the split bolt connector. Apply firm and even pressure to the handles until the crimping mechanism is fully engaged and the connector is securely crimped. Avoid over-crimping, which can damage the connector or conductors. After crimping the split bolt connector, inspect the connection to ensure that it is secure and that the conductors are firmly held in place. Check for any loose strands or signs of damage. If necessary, re-crimp the connector or replace it with a new one. In damp or corrosive environments, consider using split bolt connectors that are specifically designed for those conditions. These connectors typically have a protective coating or are made from materials that are resistant to corrosion. When working with electrical connections, always follow safe work practices and wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. Energize the circuit before making any connections or repairs. If you are not comfortable working with electrical connections, consult a qualified electrician. When twisting the grounding conductors together after crimping, make sure to twist them tightly and evenly. This will help to improve the mechanical strength of the connection and prevent the conductors from pulling out of the connector. For larger gauge conductors, you may need to use a wrench or pliers to get a good grip on the conductors and twist them tightly. When using a hydraulic crimping tool, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. These tools can generate a lot of force, and it is important to use them correctly to avoid damage to the connector or conductors. Always use the correct die size for the split bolt connector being crimped. Using the wrong die size can result in a poor connection or damage to the connector. Keep the crimping tool clean and in good working order. Regularly inspect the tool for any signs of wear or damage, and replace it if necessary. A worn or damaged crimping tool can produce unreliable connections. When making multiple connections in an electrical box, be sure to leave enough space between the connections to allow for proper ventilation and to prevent overheating. Avoid overcrowding the box with too many connections. Label the grounding conductors and split bolt connectors to make it easier to identify them in the future. This can be helpful for troubleshooting or maintenance purposes. Use a permanent marker or label maker to create clear and legible labels. When working with aluminum grounding conductors, use split bolt connectors that are specifically designed for aluminum. These connectors typically have a coating that prevents corrosion and ensures a good electrical connection. Never use copper split bolt connectors with aluminum conductors, as this can lead to corrosion and failure of the connection. Always torque the split bolt connector to the manufacturer's specified torque value. This will ensure a tight and secure connection without over-tightening and damaging the connector. Use a torque wrench to accurately measure the torque applied to the connector. After making the connection, protect it from physical damage by securing the conductors and connector to the electrical box or enclosure. Use cable ties or other fasteners to keep the conductors from moving around and potentially damaging the connection. Inspect the connection periodically to ensure that it is still secure and that there are no signs of corrosion or damage. If you find any problems, repair or replace the connection immediately. When working with electrical systems, always follow the National Electrical Code, or NEC, and any local electrical codes. These codes provide detailed requirements for electrical installations and help to ensure the safety of people and property. When installing grounding conductors and split bolt connectors, be sure to comply with the requirements of NEC Article 250, which covers grounding and bonding. This article provides specific requirements for the size and type of grounding conductors, as well as the methods for connecting them. When using split bolt connectors in a wet or damp location, be sure to use connectors that are listed for wet locations. These connectors are designed to withstand the effects of moisture and corrosion. When connecting grounding conductors to a metal enclosure, be sure to use a grounding bushing or other approved fitting to provide a secure and reliable connection. This will help to ensure that the enclosure is properly grounded and bonded. When installing grounding conductors in a raceway, be sure to follow the requirements of NEC Article 300, which covers wiring methods. This article provides specific requirements for the type of raceway that can be used, as well as the methods for installing the conductors. When working with electrical systems, always be aware of the potential hazards and take steps to protect yourself from injury. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as safety glasses, gloves, and hearing protection. Work in a well-lit and ventilated area and avoid working alone. If you are not comfortable working with electrical systems, consult a qualified electrician. They have the knowledge and experience to safely and effectively install and repair electrical systems. Always double-check your work to ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating, arcing, and even fires. A thorough inspection can help to prevent these problems. Remember, electrical safety is paramount. Taking the time to properly install and maintain electrical systems can help to protect yourself, your family, and your property from harm. These connectors are UL listed or otherwise certified by a recognized testing laboratory to ensure that they meet safety and performance standards. Using non-listed or counterfeit connectors can be dangerous and may not provide a reliable connection. When purchasing split bolt connectors, be sure to buy them from a reputable supplier. This will help to ensure that you are getting high-quality connectors that meet all applicable standards. If you are unsure about any aspect of installing grounding conductors or split bolt connectors, consult a qualified electrician. They can provide expert advice and guidance to help you ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. Consider using insulated split bolt connectors for added safety. These connectors have a layer of insulation that helps to protect against accidental contact with live parts. This is especially important in areas where there is a risk of exposure to moisture or other conductive materials. When using insulated split bolt connectors, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. The insulation must be properly installed to provide adequate protection. Regularly inspect insulated split bolt connectors for any signs of damage or wear. If you find any problems, replace the connector immediately. Damaged insulation can compromise the safety of the connection. Always disconnect the power supply before working on any electrical equipment. This will help to prevent electric shock. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before beginning work. Be aware of the location of any underground utilities before digging. Contact your local utility company to have them mark the location of any underground line. Digging into an underground utility line can be dangerous and may result in serious injury or death. If you are working in a confined space, be sure to provide adequate ventilation. This will help to prevent the buildup of hazardous gases. Wear a respirator if necessary. Always follow lockout/tagout procedures when working on electrical equipment. This will help to prevent accidental energization of the equipment. Use a lockout device to prevent the circuit breaker from being turned on while you are working on the equipment. Tag the circuit breaker to warn others that the equipment is being worked on. Never work on electrical equipment while standing in water. Water is a good conductor of electricity and can increase the risk of electric shock. Use a rubber mat or other insulating material to protect yourself from contact with water. Be aware of the presence of flammable materials when working with electrical equipment. Electrical sparks can ignite flammable materials and cause a fire. Keep flammable materials away from electrical equipment and avoid working with electrical equipment in areas where flammable materials are present. If you are working on electrical equipment in a hazardous location, be sure to use equipment that is approved for use in that location. Hazardous locations are areas where there is a risk of explosion or fire due to the presence of flammable gases, vapors, or dusts. Use explosion-proof equipment that is designed to contain any sparks or explosions that may occur. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when installing and using electrical equipment. This will help to ensure that the equipment is installed and used safely and correctly. If you have any questions about electrical safety, consult a qualified electrician or your local electrical inspector. They can provide expert advice and guidance to help you ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. Split bolt connectors can accommodate a range of wire sizes, typically from number 14 American wire gauge to 1000 kc mil or larger depending on the specific connector design. Ensure the connector's range matches your conductors. Some split bolt connectors are designed for direct burial applications. These connectors are typically made of corrosion-resistant materials and are designed to withstand the harsh conditions of underground environments. Always check the connector's listing to ensure that it is suitable for direct burial use. Split bolt connectors are typically made of copper or bronze, which are good conductors of electricity. Copper connectors are generally used for copper conductors, while bronze connectors can be used for either copper or aluminum conductors. When using bronze connectors with aluminum conductors, be sure to use an antioxidant compound to prevent corrosion. An antioxidant compound is a substance that is applied to the aluminum conductor to prevent it from oxidizing. Oxidation can create a layer of insulation that can impede the flow of electricity. Split bolt connectors are available in a variety of styles, including standard split bolts, parallel split bolts, and reducing split bolts. Standard split bolts are used to connect two or more conductors of the same size. Parallel split bolts are used to connect two or more conductors in parallel. Reducing split bolts are used to connect two or more conductors of different sizes. When selecting a split bolt connector, be sure to choose the style that is appropriate for your application. The torque value is the amount of force that is required to tighten the split bolt connector. The correct torque value will ensure a tight and secure connection without over-tightening and damaging the connector. The manufacturer's instructions will specify the correct torque value for the connector. Split bolt connectors are commonly used in electrical panels, junction boxes, and other electrical enclosures. They are used to connect grounding conductors, neutral conductors, and phase conductors. Split bolt connectors can also be used to splice wires together. A splice is a connection that joins two or more wires together. Splices are typically used to extend the length of a wire or to repair a broken wire. When splicing wires together with split bolt connectors, be sure to use the correct size connector for the wire gauge. Never use a connector that is too small or too large for the wire. When installing split bolt connectors in an electrical panel, be sure to follow the NEC guidelines for spacing and clearance. This will help to ensure that the connections are safe and accessible. Always keep a record of the location of all split bolt connectors in your electrical system. This will make it easier to troubleshoot problems in the future. Include the size and type of connector, the wire gauge, and the torque value. Use a wire marker or label to identify the wires connected to the split bolt connector. This will help to prevent confusion when troubleshooting or making repairs. When removing a split bolt connector, be sure to disconnect the power supply first. This will help to prevent electric shock. Loosen the set screws on the connector and then pull the wires out. Inspect the wires for any signs of damage. If the wires are damaged, replace them before reinstalling the connector. Never reuse a split bolt connector that has been damaged. Damaged connectors can be unsafe and may not provide a reliable connection. Always dispose of used split bolt connectors properly. Do not throw them in the trash. Take them to a recycling center or dispose of them according to local regulations. Split bolt connectors are an essential part of any electrical system. By following these safety tips, you can help to ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions about electrical safety. They have the knowledge and experience to safely and effectively install and repair electrical systems. They can also help you to select the right split bolt connectors for your application. Remember that improper electrical work can be dangerous and may result in serious injury or death. Always take the necessary precautions to protect yourself and others from harm. By following these guidelines, you can help to ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable.